Welcome to Through the Table Podcast with Brian, JL, Tom, Rick, and Russ.
I guess what's the biggest one? I'd say maybe Kevin Owens resigning.
I would think so.
That's
one
a
of
big
them.
story, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where it was coming out all sorts of different stories, and I guess it keeps changing where he is signed for 3 years. But I guess there is that no cut clause is not in his contract after all, what I was
really?
reading today. Yep. So they could still cut him at any point after 90 days.
Because I thought, oh, go ahead, Russ.
No, I was just going to say, I'm sure he got a crazy good deal. And he knows, too, that if they were to cut him, he would get a job in AEW or somewhere. Like, he's not one that will be out of a job for that long.
Oh, absolutely. Like he's one. I know we talked about it a little bit last week about there's certain release guys that AEW could pass on, but like Steve, Owens was one of those. Just you can't let him slide.
Not. Right. If he's out there, you got to grab him.
I mean, from what I heard it was it's like a $2 to $3 million deal or something like that.
I think it starts at 2 and goes up to 3 by the end of it.
If like incentives or whatever it is.
I don't know. They didn't really specify a whole lot.
Right.
And
but
like
Meltzer was saying today that he thinks it starts around 2 and by the end it's at 3, but then that there is a no cut clause in there. They said WWE would never sign that. They just gave him more money. And he agreed.
So my thing is where is the, I guess, the line where it's, like for instance, Strowman was making $1 million a year, according to this new deal, he could make $1 million a year.
Yep.
Because if it's 2 to possibly 3 for 3 years, I mean, so it's where do you, I guess, who deserves to get that money, and then who deserves to I guess get released to save that money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if just being, I guess, a smarter wrestling fan, I would have assumed that Strowman would probably be the guy that they would, WWE would pick over Owens. Just, I mean, height, physique, basically everything.
Right.
So it's just kind of it's funny how some people get released to save money, and then they'll throw money at other other superstars and not even bat an eye about it.
I think also too that he's well respected, so to have him in the locker room probably would give others a sense of stability, possibly. And then with signing him, there's a better chance to keep Sami Zayn and keep some other people that they might not want to go over to AEW.
Almost like a good faith gesture, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess. I can see that.
I don't see Braun having that.
Right.
Right.
I know he like rubs some people the wrong way, just different tweets and stuff like that he's, done throughout his WWE stay, where Kevin's kind of pretty low key when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, he's never really gotten in trouble for anything, like
right.
ever.
No,
So yeah, it
not
could be
really.
it. And I mean, it's makes sense. His son, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure a lot of it has to do with his family, it was reported, but also too, his son. His son knows that the WWE is the biggest place to be. I'm sure that probably has a huge, well, my son thinks I'm a superstar because I work for the biggest wrestling company in the world.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, his son is like a huge John Cena fan. So like his that first match that he had against John Cena and then to beat John Cena.
right, blew his kid's mind. So I could definitely see. I mean, as I guess as selfish as I I guess was or whatever or wanted to be, I would have loved to see him sign with AEW. But I
Sure.
mean, he does. At the end of the day, it's. I mean, if I was making $1 million a year, I'd be all for that too.
And then like Brian said in the chat the other day, he sent Kevin Owens saying that like one of the worst bumps he took was the other day on Raw.
Yep.
But I feel that like being in the WWE, you're gonna have your big matches maybe once a month or one big Raw kind of thing where you're gonna do something crazy. But I feel that like he would probably possibly think that he would have to do that all the time in AEW, like on Dynamite, and then do something crazy on Rampage like a couple days later. Whereas he can kind of not go through the motions because I don't think he would do that, but like
No.
he could protect himself more
Right.
in the WWE.
I could see that because there's probably people in the WWE being like, you know what, you don't need to do this tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know if he got chewed out, but I'm sure there was probably somebody in the back being like, why would you even, you know what I mean? Just take a bump like that. And it's kind of funny that I mean, he's fallen off of ladders, through tables. He jumped
Mhm.
off the friggin' WrestleMania sign.
Yep.
And it's just like a simple front flip off the apron to the floor, just jacked them all up.
Well, it's the floor's hard, and when you jump off a sign or whatever, they've got it all gimmicked up so you're landing super soft anyway. So
Right.
unless you just don't land on your landing spot on those, it's probably not that hard of a bump.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't know if people saw the Monday Night Football game yesterday, but the guy from the Chargers,
I saw that.
he landed and just bumped his head. I
Mhm.
mean, hard because that surface is like cement basically, but like he just totally knocked himself out. And you're looking at Kevin Owens or anybody for that matter jumping off like the WrestleMania sign, like you
Mhm.
said, and just like and not getting hurt with
Right.
it. It's just crazy.
Right. So yeah, I could totally see like what you were saying, Russ. Just because I mean, I'm sure they might have like a vet or two like in AEW that's like, you know what, maybe you shouldn't do this tonight. But it's like just watching. I mean, even the Danielson Hangman, match. It just went balls out, like
Yeah.
just you know what I mean. Moonsault off the top rope to the. It's just, it's. Like I could totally see it. It just he would. I think that's what it would. He would feel like it's almost like an obligation to just try to
Mandatory.
right.
He'd get caught up in it for sure. He'd
Yeah.
want to one up someone somehow, and I'm sure he would do something insane. No one would know what's coming.
Right. I mean, because even those matches he had with like Generico in ROH, like the ladder matches and stuff, it's
Yeah.
just both of them killing each other.
Mhm.
And
he did that in NXT.
Yep.
He
Yep.
killed himself.
Yeah.
He killed himself, and now he got into the WWE and like doesn't have to do that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing at the main roster where you kind of tell somebody, oh, this is what we're planning on doing, and they make sure that it's nice and safe. Or in the indie scenes, there's you just go out and do whatever you want. AEW seems to be the same way. It's just you just kind of go out there and do it. You get hurt, you get hurt.
I mean, I know I've seen like it was like a Jericho picture or something, but I've heard it on his podcast where, when AEW first started, it was just let everybody go out there and do whatever they want. you know, but now it's like there. I've seen, I want to say, for some reason, I see Jericho in my head, but it was like there was like a whiteboard behind him, and it was like match 1, you know, floor dive, you know, match 2,
Yep.
you know, this high spot. It was just like they were they actually.
They do now.
You know, like, okay, well, you're going, you know, you're doing a dive in this match, so maybe not do a dive in this match.
Well, they just don't want the same dives.
Right.
So if somebody's doing, say, the moonsault to the outside in Hangman's match, no one else is doing that spot.
Right.
That's what that's on there. That was one of the things that JR mentioned, that everyone's just going out there and doing the same thing. So if you're doing the same move in 6 matches, by the time it hits the 6th match, no one cares anymore.
Right. That's not special anymore.
Right. So that's what they're trying to at least compact it down. Like, we won't stop you from doing your high spots and your jumps, but just make sure you're doing one that isn't going to be done in another match.
Right. Like,
You know,
like I said, the Hangman match, he does the moonsault to the outside. And then you have Dante Martin, where literally at one point in his match, he went north, south, east, west, just dove over every side of the mat, you know. And it's like, at that point, it's like Hangman just looks like a jerk at this point. You know what I mean? Like, well, why can't you do that, Hangman? You know what I mean? He's like, I mean, I get it. Not everybody's Dante Martin, and he's just an absolute freak of nature when it comes to that stuff. But, yeah, it's just, it's, you know, I feel like that was that, and I mean, and I guess it is, because look who pretty much like the EVPs are, but it was like that, the PWG mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it was like, because even Ring of Honor for a while was just like, okay, first match, this, you know, no floor, whatever. And then it was just one day PWG was like, you know what? Just go. I don't care what you guys do. Just go out there and
here's your finish. Go ahead.
Right. And it was just, you know, and everybody just ate it up, because it was just a, you know, 4-hour highlight reel at that point.
For sure. Yeah.
But now it just, you know, it's, you know, it's as much as I don't agree with like Jim Cornette on some things, and like the, you know, the old school guys, but I do feel like there's the points where it's, you know, maybe you shouldn't do this because it's not as special. If, you know, I mean, even like Lance Hoyt or Lance Archer, whatever he's called, you know, and it's like the dude gets hurt doing a moonsault. What at 6'7" or whatever he is, 6'8",
6'8" or 6'9".
You don't, you know, 300 some odd pounds. You don't need to be doing a moonsault. You know what I mean? Leave that to Dante or whatever.
Right.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
What's up, Tom? Sorry, I was making a point.
I heard that. It was actually a very good point, and I agree. If you're 6'7", stay on the ground.
Right, now look at him. Now he's got a messed up neck for God knows how long.
So
Yeah.
can
Exactly.
we call you Nostra Ho 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 Thomas? this
You
week?
can. I have my my Clark Griswold jersey on. I'm gonna see. I don't know if you can see that.
No,
Nobody
that
here
was-
knows what that is. Nobody here at this party knows what I'm doing.
Oh boy.
It's very disappointing. It's very disappointing.
2021.
It's very upsetting. What have I missed? What are we discussing?
We were just talking about Kevin Owens for a bit, and it kind of went into basically with Kevin Owens resigning, we feel like it's gonna maybe save his body for a bit, because we feel like if he goes to AEW, if he went to AEW, he would just feel like almost feel obligated to every week to try to like just do some insane, you know, spot, and that would just, you know, just wreck him.
So I agree with that, but I think it also balances it out too, because he would only be doing one day a week in AEW, whereas in WWE, you're on the road, you're doing house shows. Yeah, you're not putting your body on the line as much in house shows, but as we saw with that bump he took the other night, which he said was probably the worst of his entire career, that's nothing close to some of the ones he's taken, and that like killed him.
That's what we were saying.
Yep.
Yeah, in those house show matches, like you could just take like a regular back bump, and next thing you know, you're on the shelf for however long. So I think it does balance itself out where he's working more matches and will be on this contract, whereas in AEW he would maybe 1 day a week, maybe do a run-in once. Who knows? So I don't know. I think it goes either way. Obviously, the money was a factor. From what I heard, I don't think Tony Khan was willing to go that much on him, so he got what he got, and good for him. And I think it actually shows that Vince is willing to spend money to keep certain talent.
Yeah, and then now he must have talked to Tony Khan or had some backdoor discussions or whatever, so he knows what he would be getting in AEW. So
yeah, he knew it for sure. He knew what he was going to get or what he could get there. Yep.
I mean, because then, like, I remember when AEW first was a thing, and they said that like there was like 3 different tiers, or technically 4 different tiers of like pay. There was, I forget what it was, and then the 4th is like the Jericho tier because he just makes a ridiculous amount of money. But, I mean, so maybe that, yeah. I mean, if they're not paying, anything near what, Vince is shelling out, like you said, it's just a, it's just a thing.
Sorry, they got a wrestling match going on in the other room.
Oh, that's fine.
Appropriate.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Well,
I think that's right. And apparently, Sami Zayn resigned. So
that was a rumor going around earlier.
Yeah,
I kind of figured he would, just because where they were giving him, like, they just recently gave him a ton of TV time
with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
that's pretty high profile for him.
Doesn't matter what they do with him. He's with Brock,
I feel like they're gonna do one of those weird, like, odd couple, like, buddy, you know what I mean? Like I feel like they're gonna do a lot of. They'll end up as a tag team at some point.
Oh,
I feel like
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like the whole, like, Stone Cold Dude Love kind of, just like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Right.
I'd watch that.
Oh, it'd be entertaining as hell, especially just, Sammy's just, I mean, whatever you give Sammy, makes it, the best that he can. So, like I said, if you're sticking him in there with Brock too, just, I mean, Brock's funny when he does anything, just because he's Brock Lesnar and he's a freak of nature, and you just can't see him act like a normal person, because even that's funny.
And Sami Zayn is still the only WWE person to mention AEW by name.
I thought someone else did at one point.
Not on TV, though, I don't think.
Yeah, I thought someone did on a Raw one night, like a year and a half ago.
That was Sammy.
Was it saying,
Yeah.
they
Sammy
probably
did
was.
it. I think he got in trouble for doing this by saying the name too.
Because it was like that they were doing that thing, like Ask Me Anything kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, because I remember after they
Oh,
said
that's
it,
right.
they deleted it off all, like, the
Yeah, it's been scrubbed from history. It never happened.
but I'm going to use that as a segue.
Nice.
Speaking of the Briscoes, FTR showed up at the ROH pay-per-view, had
They
a
did.
pull apart with the Briscoes.
Yep.
I don't even like FTR, and I am so, like, I hope this match
100%.
like they need, like, Tony Khan needs to put this. I'm hoping the pay-per-view or Battle of the Belts. I mean, ROH champs versus the AAA tag champs.
That'd be cool.
ROH and GCW champs.
Right. And you don't even need to put the belts on the line.
Mhm.
Just, I mean, I Battle of the Belts. It's just people with, championships. I mean, if they're not going to do that on a pay-per-view, slap it on that and just let them go 20 minutes and go nuts.
Completely agree. Has to happen. Needs to happen.
Oh, it's happening.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just when they're doing it. Because today the rumor going around is the Briscoes are signed, which I've heard about for the last 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is surprising
Same.
because I mean, I know like working AEW, you know, Britt Baker has her own dental office. You know,
Mhm.
I'm sure the Briscoes can totally take care of their chicken farm.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah, I mean, they have the shoot chicken farm.
Yeah.
You know,
As they should.
Their dad runs it when they're not around.
Yeah.
So
So it's just, I don't know. To me, that's wild. It's just these two crazy rednecks, and then it's just when they're not wrestling, they're just taking care of chickens. You know, just
Well, maybe
under
Bo
that
Dallas
GC
can.
Go ahead.
Bo Dallas can help him with that, seeing as he's doing Liv Morgan's
true.
Chicken farm.
He can come up
Just
when they're
merge the two.
on trips.
Exactly. He's not doing anything. He doesn't want to wrestle anymore. Why not?
Right. Why not?
but yeah, I mean that schedule will fit the Briscoes perfectly. You know, just once a week, they'll whatever, twice a week, the Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe every now and again you go down on to Orlando on a Saturday, do a dark taping.
And then they're working GCW as well.
You know, and that's
I mean, one thing
They're picking up their schedule now, where they were barely working. Now they're going to be doing a ton of shows.
right. I remember when they no showed PWG and they were just like, we just want to do Ring of Honor. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
One thing about AEW that I love is the fact that you don't have to just stay in AEW. You can go other places. You can do other things while still working for AEW. And, you know, to tie this all together with Kevin Owens, which I started out with when I jumped on, maybe he didn't want to do that. Maybe that's not something that appealed to him. Maybe he likes the comfort and the monotony that is the WWE. But some of these other guys, they love the fact that they can go other places and be free. And the Briscoes now have that opportunity. I think that's fantastic because to me, it gets the AEW name, the brand out there to other areas and other avenues.
Definitely.
That, especially now, whereas they're still a budding company. I mean, I think we forget the fact they're 3 years in, 3 years in.
Yep.
So, you know, they're still brand spanking new. And still trying to get, you know, ultimately get like their footing and their place in the wrestling world. So getting these guys out there, you see them on TV on a Wednesday night, and then, oh my God, they're down the street at like, you know, the whatever high school gym.
VFW hall.
Yeah, like that to me is like something that you don't get anywhere else, and you're not used to it. It hasn't happened in a long time. So that's exciting to me. I may have to hop here in a bit.
That's fine.
Just to give you guys a heads up.
There's only a few guys that are under deals where they don't work anywhere else. Most of them sign deals where they're allowed to work wherever they want. They just got to get the permission first. And as you can see him, Tony Khan, he doesn't really say no too often.
I have an opinion. They're always good, and that's the Juventus Wrestler of the Week.
Oh, there we
nice
go.
Segue. I like that.
I like it.
I like it.
See,
Where are we
ready.
going this
What
week?
we got?
I was gonna go with the Briscoe Brothers from
Nice.
the ROH last show because they took a whooping from FTR, but that's not the reason why. But they won their like 13th or 12th world title from Ring of Honor.
Yep.
This is my research coming in, folks.
Who'd they beat for the titles?
They beat OCK, which I hate. I'm prejudicial.
We know you love Mike Bennett.
I love Mike Bennett.
Mike Bennett sucks. Do you hate Mike Bennett too?
Yep.
All right.
Just about as much as Jake Hager.
Honestly, I think I hate Mike Bennett just as much as I hate Matt Taven, so it kind of works out.
Yeah, they should both
I hate
go.
them both. Yeah, I don't
they're
get the love for Matt Taven either.
Did I know this is random. Sorry to cut off Juventus Wrestler of the Week.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I was at an indie show at the Tewksbury Country Club. It was like a actually I think it was the same show Jason and Tom wrestled on.
Oh, that one. Okay.
UFO.
So my buddy Barry worked worked at that show too. He wrestles under Bare Knuckle Burley, or used to Bare Knuckle Burley.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought all these he got these t-shirts made, and they were they spelt his name wrong on the thing. Instead of Burley, it was Burley, and he just went, and he was like, "Tell these anyway." And they set him up right next to Matt Taven, who just happened to be the Ring of Honor TV champion at the time. So he has the belt on the table, like all like just, and you know, I would just hear all these stories about how like Taven was kind of an asshole.
Oh yeah, they haven't changed.
And my buddy Barry ended up like selling out of his t-shirts. He sold like 40 t-shirts that night.
Nice.
And Taven sold like 6 or something. Like it was just, and like I just
and
remember
5 for
like,
Craig.
And my buddy just like looks over at me. He just goes, "Hey Taven, how you doing on t-shirts?" or something. Like, it was just like something's just so. It was just one of those things where it's like, hey, remember when you sold more t-shirts than Matt Taven? ROH
Nice.
television champion Matt Taven. It was so funny. And it was like right after he almost killed George the Animal Steel. Do you remember that?
No.
There was
No.
Was it NEW, Northeast Wrestling?
Okay, yeah.
So Taven used to wrestle for them, and it was a show. I want to say it was either Connecticut or Rhode Island.
Okay.
And at one point, Taven was in a match, and George the Animal Steel was out there for some reason.
Who knows with George, right?
And Taven just like, instead of like seeing what was going on outside, was just like, screw it, Acai moonsault, and just, I guess, just does a moonsault from the top rope to the outside. God. And just like lands like on George the Animal Steel, like literally almost kills him. And it was just like he got a bunch of crap for that. And then same thing, my buddy Barry was on another show with him. And you know, they're all in like Gorilla or whatever, and Taven just goes up to my buddy Barry and like a few other people, and just dead serious, just looks at all of them and just goes, "Watch all the cool." And like his music hits and he walks out, and I was like, "Oh my God, what a douche!"
So we're gonna get another thumbs down. Is that what we're going for this week?
That's fine.
That's okay. Why is he watching our podcast in the first
That'd be
place?
awesome. Maybe he sits around with Bob Evans, and now Tom's trying. You know, love you, Tommy. I
love you, Tom.
Love you, Tom.
Love you, Tom. That's right.
So sorry, we broke up why the Briscoes won the award.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's really wasn't much. I think they're going to AEW. I think they pretty much signed. I can't wait for FTR versus Briscoes. You know, and I thought it was great that they're GCW and ROH World Tag Team Champions. That's it.
Nice.
I like it.
Can't disagree.
What about you, Russ?
I agree. GC, when you just said GCW is now the third brand.